Hey everyone, Joe here with the Idaho Prepper channel, and the time to prepare and restock our food pantries is now. So in today's video, I'm going to be going through my inventory and restocking some of the low points of it, and also kind of showing you some of the new features and additions that I've made to this pantry as well. So stay tuned, this should be a good one. All right, so like I said, the time to prepare and restock our pantries is now. You know, we're preppers. We don't wait until things get chaotic before we start preparing. You always want to make sure that you are preparing when things are calm, when there's plenty of supply. That way you're not getting price gouge and spending unnecessary money. Plus, you know, putting food aside right now, buying in bulk, it's going to help you get ahead of inflation and save some money. So it's always a smart thing to do regardless of what's going on. But for those of you who have been paying attention to what's going on, I mean, it might seem right now when you turn on the television that everything's calm because they're just hyper-focused on the election that's coming up. But for those of us in the know, we know that there is a lot of really high threat situations going on, particularly in the Middle East. And if any one of those situations was to pop off, especially as it's concerning Iran, we would have some major supply chain issues, especially in the fuel area. And we all know if you have supply chain issues with fuel, it's going to affect the food supply chain as well. So definitely something we're all going to need to keep our eye on as we move into this new year. But it is fall, and that is also always a reason to try to get everything gathered and make sure that you have enough food for the winter. So especially for those of us who live in these northern climates where, you know, once it snows, things get really tough, and you want to make sure that you have enough to keep you and your family fed and warm if the power goes out, because that is something that happens periodically in these northern regions. But for today, like I said, I'm just going to kind of show you some of the new additions that I've made to this pantry. And I'm going to be going through my inventory, which I actually have, let's see, I put it right here. So this is an inventory list that I actually downloaded from a website called trueprepper.com. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description for it. But it's just basically free pre-written pantry lists. And they also have like bug out bag, content lists, all sorts of good stuff. But they're just lists that you can print out. And they have the little like check marks in there. So you go through and you just check mark the stuff that you have or that you're running low on. And then what I like to do is once I download the lists and put them in paper form and print them out, I put them in these laminated sleeves here, and then I can get like a dry erase pen and just check the boxes off periodically when I'm doing inventory. And then when I'm done, I got it all finished, I just wipe it down, and then, you know, I can start it all over again. So really cool thing to have, you know, especially if you have a big working pantry like this. So at this point, I've pretty much already figured out what I'm running low on, what I need to get, and I've made a basic grocery list and supply list, which I'm going to be heading out to Walmart and Costco today and trying to get all of these voids filled. So, but before I do that, I'm just going to go ahead and show you around and show you some of the new supplies that I've added. Not a whole lot has changed, and I actually have some things that I'm going to be bringing into the fold here pretty soon. But I'll just go ahead and show you around, and I'll show you how I have everything in this pantry set up. All right, so I guess we'll just go ahead and start up top here. It's, you know, I try to keep it as organized as I can, but it is a little kind of miscellaneously put together. That's a word, miscellaneously. But as you can see way back there, I got some paper plates. And then I have some paper plates right here and some cups. And the reason I keep those, you know, stocked up is in case there is like a power outage, because here we're on a well. And so if there's no power, then we have no water, which means we're not going to be doing dishes. We're going to be rationing the water. So in those situations, I like to have paper plates and paper cups That way we can have our meals and it's just disposable and we're not having to, wash dishes. So kind of a good thing to have on hand in case of emergencies. And then as you can see, it's just mostly just like cases of food. And these are just cases of canned food that I actually have open down here. So as soon as we start running low, like for instance, if I start running low on the chili, I can just come up and then open up a can of chili and then restock my chili. And that's pretty much how I organize this whole food supply. It's not really based on, a 6-month supply or a 1-year supply. I really just have to allow the space of the room and the amount of space I have on the shelves to dictate, the amount of food I can carry. So that's pretty much how this is all set up. So as you can see, most of the food is really just comprised of in these 5-gallon buckets, and they go back 2 buckets deep. So there's another bucket back there, but they really are just made up of essential foods such as beans, oats, sugar, salt, rice, and flour. And we cycle through a lot of it because most of the food that we make at our house is all from scratch. So we cycle through a lot of the flour especially, and the sugar and the rice as well. But last week, I actually just went through kind of my essentials and did an inventory on that and restocked all of those because we were about 4 or 5 buckets behind. So I went ahead, restocked all my buckets, and then down here, as you can see, there's kind of like an overflow of buckets. So I'm trying to utilize as much of the space in this room as possible. And then over here, I have my gun cabinet, which I did a video on. I think I've done a few videos on this, but it's still functioning well. I actually really like that I made this because it comes in handy and the placement for it is perfect. I don't really store all of my firearms in here. I just have a few of the essential ones, but I'll go ahead and I'll open that up and I'll show you what's inside. All right, so opening it up, click on our light here. So as you can see, I got a plate carrier right there in the front, and then I have an AR platform on either side. So it's just one for me and one for my wife. And then down here, I have my EDC pistol and 2 extra mags and the holster. And then below that, I have ammo. So, and then on the door here, just got a little 30-round mag holder right there. So that is pretty much how that cabinet is set up inside. And then on the outside here, I have my get home bag, which I just did a video on. And then this here is just a chest pack, and this incorporates into my bug out bag, which I'll be doing a video on pretty soon here. And then down below here is my EDC kit. So kind of the idea is that when I get ready to go to work, I come in through this door, I grab my get home bag, my EDC kit, and then I exit out this door, which is kind of where my truck is. So that is pretty much how I do it. And then obviously I don't forget to, open up the cabinet and grab my concealed carry pistol as well. And then on the front here, I just have an IFAK. And then this is just a banner that I can put morale patches on. And then above the gun cabinet, just have kind of some miscellaneous stuff. We got some seeds for our vegetable garden, and those are sealed in Mylar. So that is a vegetable seed vault from Nature's Edge. And then right there, we just have that's actually apple butter that Mrs. Idaho Prepper made. So that's really good stuff. And let's see. Just some basic stuff. We got our coffee for our Keurig up top, mac and cheese for the kids. And, behind all these cases of food is just number 10 cans of freeze-dried food. So it's mostly Mountain House, and then I have some Augustin Farms. And then I think I have a couple cases. There's about 4 or 5 cases of like essential type food, like potatoes, onions, carrots, things like that, that I got from LDS about probably 12, 13 years ago, which is still holding strong. So it's probably at its half-life point. So for those of you who've been prepping a while, you'll know that just storing your food in 5-gallon buckets inside the Mylar bags with the oxygen absorbers is definitely a tried and true way of storing your food. You know, and plus you save a ton of money. So I always recommend, you know, this kind of food like oats, beans, rice, salt. You don't have to go and buy that stuff in the number 10 can. It's totally unnecessary. I actually just opened up a 5-gallon bucket of oatmeal that I stored from 2011, and it was perfectly fine. I mean, it was like as fresh as the day I bought it. So I had a big oxygen absorber in there, like a 2000 or 3000 cc oxygen absorber in there, and the mylar was just really well sealed, and so it preserved the oatmeal perfectly. So yeah, I mean, this is no joke. The 5-gallon buckets, mylar bags, and oxygen absorbers will definitely preserve your food for a very long time and keep it fresh and tasting good. So if you haven't done that, I definitely say, you know, just keep working on these buckets and make sure that you always have your staple foods, because pretty much my thinking around this pantry or around my food storage plan is that what I can do and why these kind of make up the bulk of my food storage is, as far as like a meal goes, if things get really bad, you know, you can take a couple cups, like 2 cups of rice, and then just add a can of chicken soup to it or something like that, and you have a meal. Or you do like 2 cups of rice and a can of beans, and you have yourself a meal. Plus, you know, you have some spices. Always want to make sure you have plenty of spice, but that's a meal. So that's kind of my thinking around my food storage situation, is just really, this is just the filler food. And I'd say most of these buckets is rice. The next thing I have that the most of would be flour, and then from there it's beans, and then salt, sugar, oatmeal, and those kind of things. All right, so on this shelf here, these are just kind of basic like foods that are kind of a runoff that I couldn't fit in my 5-gallon bucket, so they ended up in these totes here, which just happened to fit perfectly on this shelf. And then I have a lot of pasta in here. So pretty much all of the dry food is in some type of plastic tote, because mice and bugs, but mostly mice, because we do have mice here. And even though I have this room really well sealed off, somehow those little mice, they figure out a way to get in. I don't know. I don't know if they're coming in through like the plug receptacles or what, but they figured out a way to get in. So, you know, at the end of the day, this is what you end up having to do, is just put everything into compartments like this. But it's not a bad solution, and it actually also keeps everything nice and organized. So as you can see in these totes, I just it's mostly miscellaneous stuff, but we have crackers, graham crackers, tea. I got some MREs, and there's like cornbread, and then just kind of some more boxed pasta type meals inside there. And then same with up here. This is just kind of top ramens. I actually got a whole 5-gallon bucket of top ramens. And then this is just like more MREs, some freeze-dried meals in there, and then like stuffing or something. And then behind that, we have, looks like some hot chocolate. And then in that container is just spices. So definitely got to make sure to have plenty of spices, because you ever end up in a situation where you're just eating rice and beans, or, you know, or you're relying on this filler food, you're going to want to make sure you have the ability to change the taste of it from time to time. Otherwise, you'll just go crazy having to eat the same, you know, bland food all the time. So make sure to stock up on spices. And then coming down here, this is just kind of more of the same. Got some baking powder in here, and then more kind of boxed pasta and crackers in there. And then this tote right here is actually the bug out bags for our 3 kids. So pretty much everything that we would need for our kids is in this tote, plus some like snacks and just things to keep them entertained. If we ever have to like bug out of here, we can just grab this tote, throw it in the back of our car, and they have everything that they need. Moving on down here, as you can see, there's still more totes. And that tote right there with the zip ties, that's just full of like junk food. It's like camping food, but a lot of food that our kids kept getting into. So eventually I had to put those zip ties on. Otherwise they were just eating candy and all kinds of things. So that's pretty much what's in that tote. And then what's in this tote here, we have all of our gas masks and pretty much everything that would protect us from any type of chemical attack. So There's a lot of different hazmat suits in here. We have all of the filters for our gas masks and then all of the gas masks. So that's what that tote is. And then in this tote here is actually just more miscellaneous stuff in here. It's just kind of like miscellaneous survival stuff that I have, but this is actually my first bug out bag. And so I have that in here. It's kind of an old chest pack that accompanied my old bug out bag. This is actually a flap for my wood stove tent. The chimney goes through this part here. I have a big mag pouch here. And then I just have some basic BDUs in here, some water filters, and then this is a ghillie suit. So yeah, just a bunch of miscellaneous survival stuff. And then down here, we just kind of keep some different sparkling waters. There's some juice and things like that. And then we keep all of our cooking oil down here as well, which I'm actually running really low on. So that's one of the things that I got to go get at the store is some more olive oil. So not looking forward to that because olive oil has gone through the roof. I think a jug of that right now is costing upwards of $30. So moving on to the other side of the pantry here, and we'll just start with my box freezer. So we'll go ahead, open this up, and this is pretty well stocked. We're just full of all different types of frozen meat. Got some hot stickers. Those were on sale the other day, so I grabbed some of those. But we got some bacon. There's a ton of chicken. We got a bunch of ground beef, ground turkey, and a lot of chicken in there. So this is about as packed as I can get it as far as grocery store meat goes. And then on this shelf here, just basically keep this whole battery kit right here. So all the batteries that we need for all of our different electronic supplies. This is my drone. And then this here is just a basic solar generator with all of the generator cables in here. And then here we have a basic first aid kit. And this is actually the first aid kit that I always go to when anybody in the house gets hurt here on the property, when the kids are always getting hurt. So I always make sure to keep this really well stocked up, but it's just full of Band-Aids and boo-boo kit type stuff. And then in these two totes right here, just more miscellaneous stuff. I have some different batteries for like weapon lights. I have zip ties in here. And then down below here are water filters for our gravity-fed water filter, which I keep upstairs. And then moving above, we have this rechargeable spotlight. It's kind of like a work light, but if the power ever goes off, I grab this light first, and this will just, light up a whole entire room. And then over here, I have some lamp oil in case we need to get our oil lamps going. And then I have some baking soda and just kind of some general household supplies like trash can liners, and we have some Ziploc bags and tinfoil, things like that. But as kind of a low supply going on here with just the household products, I usually keep the trash bags and some of the cleaning products here. So I got to pick up some more bleach at the store when I'm out today. And then over here, it just kind of transfers over to my medical. So we have a bunch of rubbing alcohol and hydrogen peroxide over here. And then this is just a bunch of different how-to books. So a lot of different survival related how-to books, and then a bunch of different medical handbooks. And then here we have the most important book, which is the good book. And then next to that, we actually have our Jace medical kit. So this is a really critical thing to have. One of our kids actually just came down with strep throat the other day, and the cure for his situation, it was really bad, was antibiotics. So he had to be on antibiotics for like 10 days, and it did cure him, thankfully. But it was rough going for a while. And I was just thinking, if the supply chain was affected and we didn't have access to those antibiotics, I would have had to rely on these. They would have definitely come to the rescue had, we not had them supplied by the doctor. But you know, without these, that would have just been a really, really, really bad situation. So having a antibiotic medical kit from Jace Medical is just a really good piece of insurance. And then moving over here is just another big assortment of miscellaneous medical supplies. So I have like stethoscopes in here. I have blood pressure regulators or meters in here. I have a bunch of sterile towels. So if you need to work on somebody, you can put these sterilized towels down and it will just keep for a nice sterile surface. I actually just ordered a big medical duffel bag that I'm going to be putting all of this stuff in, because this is just not a good situation having all my medical supplies just squished into a box like this. So that duffel bag is going to be arriving here shortly. So I'm excited to get all this stuff into a proper medical kit and just get it all organized. And then over here, we got some mason jars. So this is definitely not the mason jars that we usually have on stock. Most of them are all upstairs right now. This is just kind of a little bit of an overflow supply. But my wife and I are actually putting together, we're going to be doing a video on it, but right now we're making a bunch of pickled eggs, and we're also preserving a bunch of eggs, like doing the water preservation, or putting the eggs in, like, it's what's called a water bath. So you put them in like a lime solution and it will preserve the eggs for a really long time. So excited to kind of get that all done, and I'll make sure, probably my wife will probably put that video out on her channel. But right now we just have so many eggs from our chickens, and usually we sell our overflow eggs. But I was thinking, you know, we're coming on winter here. I'd actually like to hold on to a lot of these eggs and just start storing them away, because, you know, eggs are just such a beneficial source of protein and nutrition. You know, I'd like to know that I had a bunch on stock, especially during the winter when our egg production slows down. It would just be nice to have some preserved in our food storage. And then over here, we just got a few more totes. So this is some gun cleaning products. I have, these is colloidal silver making product. So everything that I need to make colloidal silver is in this tote. And then right here is just some canning products and tools. And then up above, this tote is just all prepping supplies. So I keep my iron, my Mylar bags, oxygen absorbers, and mason jar vacuum sealer caps all up here. And that's just for preserving the food. And then back there is a blender that is dedicated to making our laundry detergent. And then here we have a case of wet wipes. That is a meat slicer. That is my food dehydrator. That is a meat grinder. This is a pressure canner. That is just a water canner. And then this is my food saver. And then behind that is my impulse sealer. And then next to that is a turkey gun. So we're in fall turkey season right now. So if there's turkeys out, you know, I just keep that as readily available as I can. That way I can take a turkey when I get the opportunity. And then over here is just kind of like my admin area. So if anything were to happen, this is probably the area where I would be if we ever had a bug-in type situation. I could monitor whatever chaotic situation that was going on. That way I'm like not in the house with the family and just keeping the stress separate from the family. So this is pretty much where I would be in any type of situation like that. I can come down here. I have all of my radios. I got my scanner over here, and then I have my laptop, and I can, you know, put together my lists and my notes and things like that. So it just makes for a good area to kind of keep organized and stay on top of, you know, whatever situation that's going on. And then below my desk here, as you can see, this whole area is pretty bare. So this is actually one of the areas that I'm going to be working on filling. So I used to have my Minuteman toolbox that was right here that I kept some of my Minuteman gear in. I actually moved that out to my garage. So right here, I'm actually just going to fill this area up with water and probably toilet paper. So that's one of the things I'm going to be getting when I'm out and about today, is just some more toilet paper and water. And then, you know, I can utilize all this space right here. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comment section if you have any questions for me. And if you're interested in any of the gear or supplies that you saw in today's video, I'll make sure to leave links in the description. So If you haven't done so already, please make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, make sure to hit that notification bell. So with that said, until the next time, stay prepared.